see some movement at the takeoff zone. It's Kelly Slater grabbing rail.
Yago, David, good morning. It's New Year's Eve. It's the morning of New Year's Eve. It's December 31st, a Wednesday in the year 2025, one day before 2026 begins. This is Spit Podcast. We're doing something not many podcasters do, David, which is we're recording during the holiday season. Good morning to you.
Good morning. Why are you so dressed up? You're looking dapper.
Oh, no. This is what was on the dorm room floor when I rolled out of bed. In the dark, I grab whatever is soft and put it on, and it happened to be this.
Do you have a tea time after this?
No.
Okay. You got to, for the record, for anybody not watching the YouTube version, Scott's got a collared button down under a cashmere sweater. So the collar's tucked perfectly under the crew neck of the cashmere.
Yeah. And what is it that you're wearing? What is going on there? This truly looks like dorm room floor, actually.
I slept in this Surfrider tee last night and have not yet combed my hair. Nor showered, Scott. So.
All right, fair enough.
Getting an unvarnished look.
Yes.
Well, man, New Year's Eve morning.
Yeah.
How are you feeling about it? Do you feel reflective at this time of year?
I do. One of the great things about having your kids move out of the house is you get a lot of time with your spouse. And so we have enjoyed reflecting on the last year and looking forward to the new year and planting some seeds of potential growth for the new year, personal growth. And we'll see where it takes us. I'm sure that I will get derailed at some point. But, it's an interesting thing, right? Resolutions, New Year's resolutions, trying to come up with stuff. And I don't know, what are your thoughts on it? Do you have some things planned? You're in such a busy state that it's probably hard to reflect.
No, I think I'm always taking notes and looking at ways to optimize, probably is a better word than improve. One of Kelly Slater's friends, his name's Khalil Rafati, I think is his last name.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, he's got this crazy story, but he owns a couple of fancy juice stores. Basically, there's one in Malibu, they have one in Austin, a couple of different locations, New York City. Sun Life Organics is what it's actually called. But he has this concept which is 1% better. So it's like, you know what? It's New Year's tomorrow. It doesn't mean you have to radically change your life, cut out a bunch of stuff, add a bunch of workout routines, because that feels daunting and overwhelming. And like you said, inevitably you'll fail to do it at one day. And a lot of people will just throw in the towel. They'll be like, oh, I failed. Whatever. And then they just backslide into the way they were before. For me, it works better just to think, tomorrow, just do 1% better, And maybe I'll try for 5%. I will try to commit to something serious, and I won't do it entirely, but I'll do it 50%. And that's more than 1% better than I did the day before. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. And December has been a good experiment for me where I started implementing a lot more discipline in my exercise and my diet. But there is a lot of indulgence throughout December too. And so I found that if I'm at least doing the discipline, if I'm running, if I'm doing the workout, whatever, the indulgence isn't that bad. It's actually kind of a good balance, as long as I can still indulge in life and the things that I like to indulge in anyways. It's not terrible stuff. I'm not eating fast food or drinking soda, but just like I can indulge in, a nice dinner that has a lot of fats in it and red meat, as long as I get that workout in and that run. So I'm going to implement the discipline of December throughout the rest of the year.
Well, that's good. I think that's almost a drop the mic moment. Just 1% better each and every day. That's really good advice. It's doable. I think the one thing that I benefit from, and perhaps others could, I can't speak for them, but is quiet time, And that's what I've called my meditation now. I just call it quiet time or coffee with God, if you will, where I'm just quiet and I just try to listen to, I don't even know what I'm trying to listen to. I just try to quiet everything. And it doesn't have to be some transactional I do this for 45 minutes and I'm going to be more spiritual or any of that. That's BS, in my opinion. But just sitting quietly has been very helpful. And so maybe consider that.
I need to, because I absolutely fill every moment of the day with some sort of stimulation. And so even when I'm doing running, put the earbuds in, use that time to learn from a podcast, or something. Even when I'm driving, there's always music, podcast, whatever. Very, very little quiet time, at like proper quiet time.
What's a new podcast that you've been listening to? And I say new, I mean that you haven't, discussed.
I think it's called Beth's Dead.
Oh my God. That sounds very engaging.
Let me make sure that is the exact title. Yeah, Beth's Dead.
Wow.
So it basically is this husband and wife couple that's been making podcasts for 15 years. They're professionals at it. And they stopped making podcasts entirely. So they have a giant audience. People are expecting content weekly from them, and they stopped making podcasts entirely. And the reason was because of a terrible fan interaction, like a stalker fan, basically, that disrupted their whole life, really shook them up. So the wife of the duo was talking to somebody else in the podcast space who produces, I think she's the producer on Armchair Expert. And she's like, this story's crazy. We should make a podcast about it. And so that's the premise of Beth's Dead. And you should check it out.
Wow. That sounds, I was on Reddit the other day, and I was somehow, something caught my attention, which was, hey, does anybody have some really good podcasts to listen to? And one of the Redditors goes, hey, I've an ongoing list of podcasts that I think are great. And so this guy has like the thing that, a full Reddit maneuver. He's got an incredible list with links to all of these podcasts via Spotify. So if you have Spotify, I was just going through it, I was going, holy crap, this is a whole year's worth of insane stuff. Very and it's content very similar to what you're mentioning. Like, this guy's vetted it. This is going to be good, engaging podcast listening.
Do you use Reddit very often?
Probably too much, actually. It's the one social media I don't dive into too much. I don't do Facebook. I do Instagram only sporadically for business. But I like Reddit because there's so many different categories, like I can go into poetry. I'm deep into Alan Watts. That's who I've been listening to a ton of. And so there's just so many subcategories.
I know it's an amazing resource. I never think to use it. If I ever end up there, it's because I Googled something and there's a link to it. But I never go to Reddit and then like search for something.
Well, like all social media, it's algorithmically set for rage bait, so you have to be very careful. And, that's the one thing I think we could all agree on for the New Year's is do not engage in the rage bait. That's what they want.
Okay. Easier said than done.
Yeah, it is.
I have a reflection from last week's show. I mentioned Tom Myers, the Sydney surfer who got these 2 incredible bombs. And I mentioned, he's a regular Joe. I think he's a plumber. He's not a plumber. He's a firefighter. So just wanted to clear that up.
Regular Joe. That'd be a good name for a band.
Probably already exists.
The Regular Joes. Yeah, probably.
But I think it made sense. As soon as I saw he's actually a firefighter, I'm like, oh, of course he would be, that speaks to the bravado of catching those waves.
Yeah.
It's a suitable profession.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I have a who said that. I've got some news. There's some Surf Expo news. There's some Stab Surfer of the Year news. But let me start off by trying to stump you and the listeners with a who said that.
Okay.
This is the segment of the show where I present a quote from a famous surfer, and 4 options for David to determine who it might be. And let us begin. And I quote, Simmons and me decided to move to the North Shore. Simmons told me he'd heard of a place to rent over there for $10 a month. So we moved into a little white house at the tip of the point at sunset. It's still there, in fact. But back then, it was the only house around. The whole North Shore was empty, real barren. No houses along the beach. I remember Cam Highway. There was a railroad line alongside the road. There wasn't all the bushes and scrub that there is today. The railroad crews took care of all that shit, pruned it back. You used to be able to just pull the car over and check all the surf spots. End quote.
Wow.
David, who said that, David? Do you have any guesses before I give you options?
I mean, I only know a few contemporaries of that era, so my guesses would be really limited.
Okay, so A, was that Rabbit Kakai? B, was that Flippy Hoffman? C, was that George Downing? Or D, was it Walter Hoffman?
Yikes. Well, it's one of the Hoffmans.
Or maybe I threw them in there to throw you off.
I'm going to go Flippy.
You're correct, David. It's Flippy Hoffman. And what a wonderful character. You know, this wild web of surf culture and surf characters that we've weaved here. It certainly is filled with wonderful characters, and he's one of them. And that whole Hoffman clan, which I'm not sure the word I'm looking for, but it spread out an incredible array of characters, and it continues to,
Spawned.
It's spawned from, Joyce Hoffman to, Christian and Nathan, Dibby Fletcher, and, it's just an incredible, Marty Hoffman, of course, Flippy's son.
We'll say more about, can you talk about the origin of it, Flippy and Walter?
I don't want to misspeak here because these are also types that would be disappointed if I didn't nail the exact history. But of course, Flippy and Walter Hoffman were sort of, I don't even know. I know they were in the fabric business. I don't know how to best explain that other than they probably imported fabrics and textiles from all over the world, from Southeast Asia, from wherever. And they offered these textiles, these fabrics to industries in the U.S. and beyond that needed them. One of them, of course, was Quicksilver and was basically the surf industry in general. I mean, I would suggest to you, the early surf industry fabric was sourced through Hoffman fabrics. And again, I could be wrong. I'm sure there was other people that know more about it. I'm certainly not an expert, but the Hoffman clan, I think more importantly than what they did with the Hoffman fabrics is what these two guys represent regarding the North Shore, Makaha, the early pioneers of big wave surfing. These were the guys, and especially Flippy. Flippy was there. There's an interesting quote from Flippy where he's like, hey, I can tell you about the early days, but after 1952, talk to these other guys because I had already left. Like he was there, dragging Bob Simmons around, so pretty good, a very interesting character. If you do a deep dive on him on the Encyclopedia of Surfing, there's some great interviews. There's some great quotes. He's just this salty, crusty, sort of old school, salt of the earth, kind of like almost has like a fisherman, pioneer sort of type of character.
I'm not going to do the deep dive from EOS, but I'm going to do a cursory overview. Born in Glendale, California in 1930, graduated from Hollywood High School in 1948. Hoffman began surfing at San Onofre. In 1953, he was one of the first surfers to brave the outer reefs of Oahu's North Shore, where he was a big wave surfing pioneer. So that's what you're talking about. That's him and Bob Simmons, 1953 on the North Shore.
Yeah,
which is incredible to think about.
Yeah, they were. It's funny is that they were over Makaha. They're like, there's 8 guys out here. Let's leave.
Right. Totally. So he also worked as an abalone fisherman when he was not surfing. In the late 50s, Hoffman helped run his family's textile business, Hoffman California Fabrics, along with his brother Walter. The company was started in 1924 by their father, Rube. I would presume that's how it's pronounced, R-U-B-E, Rube Hoffman, originally selling woolen flannel fabrics, and Hoffman oversaw the company's business that sold direct to retail stores. He was also involved in researching the production process for creating new designs. Hoffman Fabrics was integral in creating a manufacturing surf apparel from the late 50s onward. In the 80s, the Aloha shirt worn by Tom Selleck in TV series Magnum P.I. was made from Hoffman fabric and is now in the Smithsonian Institution.
Wow.
This is a quote from his brother, actually. It says, "When the surf was big, he would take off and go surfing," said his brother. Hoffman worked with surfboard designers like Mickey Munoz, Hobie Alter, and Bob Simmons to improve the designs of the boards. He died in Mission Viejo from pulmonary fibrosis complications and was survived by, this was in 1980. And he was survived, or I'm sorry, not in 1980. He was 80 at the time. And I think it was 2010.
Yeah.
He was survived by his partner, Susie, brother Walter, daughter Dana, and son Marty. His oldest daughter, Joyce Hoffman, was a championship. His brother's daughter, Joyce Hoffman, was a champion surfer. And great-grandson, Grayson Fletcher, Christian's son, is a professional skateboarder. Both he and his brother, Walter, were honored at the Surfing Walk of Fame in 2006 for their contributions to surf culture.
Yeah, just legendary figures and quite frankly, a legendary foundational family in surf history. And, I've heard great, who's got great stories, and you just did a great deep dive interview with Jeff Devine. Devine would regale me with stories of Flippy Hoffman that were just great. And I don't want to butcher them here, but if you ever get a chance and you see Jeff, ask him about his Flippy Hoffman stories. They're pretty good. And
well, I find this happens a lot where I'll do an interview, Surf Splendor interview, and then from that, people chime in like yourself. And they're like, "Oh, you should also." So I'm going to take notes and I'm going to follow up with him, and we'll do a part 2.
I do think we often talk about really interesting content that isn't being touched, and I do think that the Hoffman clan and the Hoffman fabrics and the Hoffman surf pioneers, that whole thing would be a wonderful, obviously if done right, that would be a wonderful content production,
Completely. Yeah. Along those lines, I told you I interviewed Bob McTavish.
Yeah.
And he followed up with an email and he's like, "Hey, that was fantastic. We covered a lot of stuff, but I also think that we should have covered X, Y, and Z."
He did that with me when I interviewed him too.
And I was like,
I forgot to talk about my years in sailboarding and all this stuff.
Yeah, because his career spans so many decades that a 90-minute conversation isn't going to cover everything. And we covered like important design innovations that people know, but that only got us to like 1980. He's like, "Well, since then I've been doing a million other things." So I was like, "Yeah, let's just do it again. Like, let me know a date and a time and we'll just go part 2, part 3. We'll do a series of episodes, So I'm always thrilled when the storytellers themselves are eager to share the information because look, it's direct from the horse's mouth. Like these pioneers still are alive largely.
And I also sense that some historic figures are known for whatever reason because we've pinned these certain things on them through the timeline of history, like, the V bottom, and those guys, because they're constantly getting pinned with those things every time they do an interview. It's like, "Tell me about the V bottom, tell me about Greeno," and it's like, okay, here we go again. I've told the story thousands of times and I can't speak for these people, but I sense sometimes I've noticed this, that they often want to talk about stuff that hasn't been yet excavated in their life story. And I sensed that with Bob when I did an interview with him. He was, like I said, it's easy to, as interviewers, we're like, I want to find out all about this really important time in our surf history, but there's some stuff that they'd also like to engage in.
It makes sense because when you're prepping for that interview, you just pull from source that art material that already exists and ask in those threads,
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways.
Well,
For the listeners out there, we will do our work and continue the deep dive with these people.
Of note, the reason that I brought up this Flippy Hoffman quote is because we have a Flippy Hoffman surfboard in the upcoming spring 2026 California Gold Surf Auction. We've got one of Flippy's personal boards. It's an incredible, I think it's 10-3, and it's just this big, meaty 5-stringer foam gun single fin. It's probably 4.5 inches thick. It's just the gnarliest. Like, you can tell this is the type of board that Flippy probably just did like breaststrokes in with, or not breaststrokes, just pulled himself in with both arms. Like, what is that stroke called? Butterfly?
I think that is the breaststroke.
Well, the breaststroke would be this.
Oh, right. No, I have no idea what.
Anyway, it's one of these boards that you just look at the wave and the board just starts moving. It's got so much foam. Yeah. And we've got one of Flippy's boards, and it's absolutely a gorgeous, beautiful beast.
Incidentally, I don't know if you were sent this as well, but my must-see moment, somebody sent me this YouTube video. It was released on Christmas Day, and it's from Bud Brown's archives, and he basically put together a bunch of footage from like way back when. I mean, probably the era that we're talking about right now, and it only has like less than 10,000 views, but it's incredible. It's called Surfing Made in Hawaii, and it has actual, not only old footage of like Squirrely Cavallo, David Nueva, Joey Cabell, Mike Doyle, George Downing, super young Jeff Hackman. When you see teenage Jeff Hackman and how diminutive he was,
I know,
compared to like the Joey Cabells of the world who are like double in height and broadness, it's really amazing. And that he was going out there and waxing those guys. Anyways, in addition to that footage, he also has a bunch of modern day interviews with the ones who still exist, like Joey Cabell. And it's just golden era Hawaii riding giant boards that are like insane. So this is my must-see moment again. Surfing Made in Hawaii.
I've pulled it up and I can see it's going to be really good.
Kind of scrub through it just so you get a taste of it.
Yeah.
But it's Bud Brown Film Archives is the account that published it, and it's about an hour long. I want to say 50 minutes. Yeah, 57 minutes.
Doesn't Buzzy Trent's daughter, Anna Trent Moore, doesn't she run this Bud Brown archive stuff? I feel like she's kind of in charge of Bud Brown's film archive.
I don't know. You would know better than I do.
Yeah.
But that would make sense. But this is like, look, any footage that you've ever seen that is used in certainly The Endless Summer, but like any archival pieces that get published for news or for some new film that came out where they want footage from Waikiki from back in the day, it's all of that compiled into a 57-minute chronological telling of the origins of not the origins, but the early days of surfing in Hawaii. So it gives you this, documentary style narrative with interviews from a lot of the people who existed at that time, and then all of the footage that you've seen bits and pieces of. I thought it was really, really incredible, like a great tribute piece.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I've recently been listening to Alexander the Great by Dan Carlin. He just put out one of his final episodes on Alexander the Great, and the reason I bring that up is I'm really fascinated in source material from super ancient Polynesian surfing. Like, it seems like, and this is wrong, but it seems like our understanding of surf history, Polynesian surf history, is like from maybe, I don't know, let's say 1500 on. But even from 1500 to 1890, it's kind of vague. But there's so much great source material for Alexander the Great that was written about way back when. There's got to be some source material from earlier than 1500. I mean, when do we believe that surfing started? I think these Polynesians were riding waves like from day one. You know what I mean? And we're talking thousands of years of a lack of understanding of what exactly they were doing, where they were surfing, what they were riding, the feelings that conjured up within them when they rode waves. Why was it such a part of their spiritual essence? You know?
Yeah. Great questions.
Yeah.
No, but I'll tell you, seeing the imagery from this era in Hawaii is just what my early life dreams were made of. And so like
Flippy Hoffman lived it, man.
Yeah, exactly. And so then seeing it now again, it's like, oh yeah, that is the original allure.
By the way, Flippy's son Marty was sort of what I remember from Toto Santos, surfing big Toto Santos there in Ensenada. And I only surfed it a few times, but Marty was one of the, if there is such a thing as a pioneer of that spot in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s. Marty Hoffman was sort of the guy that wrangled up all the Mike Parsons, San Clemente types and got him out there and basically whipped him and said, let's friggin' go. Marty was charging.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That family's legacy is deep. I'm playing the video right now that I was talking about. They're showing footage from the early 40s in Waikiki.
Yeah.
And it seems like they've colorized it and somehow, it almost looks AI-ish. It's kind of incredible, the detail in it. But
I'm stoked that they colorized it, actually. How do you feel about that? Oh,
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, I am too. I think
I'm looking at Doris Duke riding a wave right now at Waikiki.
Yeah.
Blackie McKenna riding these kook boxes with 90-degree angles on the rails. Now it's 1947 Waikiki.
Look at these boards, man. I can't wait to do a deep dive into this stuff. I'm kind of into it.
It's unbelievable. Look, we should just have it running in the background in perpetuity on this show.
Well, I mentioned I'm trying to get involved in this vintage surfboard collecting podcast. And the first one I want to do is on this era that we're talking about, this pre-colonial Hawaiian surfboards. And anyway, I don't want to bore this.
They just showed footage of Rabbit K. Kai when he was young. He looks like he's 18 years old.
How cool is that?
Crazy. And then cut to Randy Rarick discussing. So, yeah, really deep dive and direct from Bud Brown's film archive. So there's
and I'm seeing interviews with Buzzy Trent. Early. It's cool. It's cool. We can't get sidetracked here, but tell you what, why don't we take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll talk some stories of the day. Welcome back, Spit Podcasts. Scott Bass, David Lee Scales, talking all things surf. What's on our agenda from Surf News, David?
A couple of things. Crazy sponsorship shakeups, I should say. The Eisbach wave in Germany is officially shut down. There was a woman attacked by a shark in Northern California. Her body has since been found. I think she went missing last week. I'll tell that story. And then, of course, Surfer in the Year. Stab Magazine does the hard work of compiling readers' votes to pick Surfer of the Year, Film of the Year, Edit of the Year, YouTube of the Year, all that kind of stuff. So we can kind of discuss that if you'd like.
Okay. Let me start off by saying that at Surf Expo here next week, Charlie Bunger is going to be honored in the Surf Expo shape-off that they do. And of course, the winner of that shape-off gets an automatic berth into the Icons of Foam tribute to the Masters shape-off that we began here in San Diego back in 2007.
Awesome. Do you know
Charlie Bunger
competing?
You know what? It's a Champions Challenge. So Ricky Carroll, who produces and organizes this shape-off, has pulled some of the past champions. So 8 past champions are going to honor one of the all-time greats of East Coast surfboard building, Charlie Bunger. And so it's, it's like Matt Calvani, Stu Sharp, Alan White, Wiesnand.
Wiesnant. Mike Wiesnant.
Mike Wiesnant, yeah.
I think Jordan Brazy won one year.
Jordan did, yeah. So Matt Calvani. So they've got guys that won this East Coast surfing, East Coast shape-off. And
Sweet.
It's, tournament of champions, so to speak.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All
Should be
right.
cool.
Well, let's just talk sponsors real quick. I don't know how much this matters to you or not, but kind of interesting reflection of the way that the industry is changing. Just yesterday, it was announced through Stab, but then Gabriel finally posted about it this morning. Gabriel Medina parts ways with Rip Curl after 16 years of partnership. Of course, I think he signed it well before he was on tour. So they kind of helped Kerr partner with him through his amateur career, winning major events. He won a major event immediately after he signed and then kind of qualified for tour and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, the idea of somebody who's still at the top of their game parting ways with a major sponsor, I think is a new concept. As Stab reported, it was Gabriel opted out. The contract was up for renewal. They wanted to renew. Rip Curl wanted to renew, and Gabriel, I think, has identified alternative ways to make money, and there is non-competes required with these surf industry contracts. Like, look, we are a clothing brand. You can't work with any other clothing brands, that sort of thing. And I think Gabriel's run the calculus and figured I could probably make more money just going individual deals along the way.
That's probably true, and I don't know the situation in the past, and I'm not saying this is a reflection of what should happen with Gabriel's situation, but in the past, if you were a legendary, iconic figure such as Gabriel Medina, and you were brought up through one of these sort of foundational brands like Rip Curl, and you stuck with them, it was beneficial to you later in your career when you started to lose some momentum and lose some social media mojo, so to speak, or which they didn't have back then. And I speak specifically of like Tom Curran or Tom Carroll or Mark Richards. These people have been kind of taken care of. And I don't know their situation, but to this day, they're still sponsored by these iconic brands. And so if you do a move like this, you're sort of shelving that opportunity. But again, Gabe is in such a situation fiscally and economically in the way the market is playing out that he's, this windfall that we're assuming is about to get, it could be so great that it doesn't matter that when you're 50 years old, you're still sponsored by Rip Curl.
I think that is exactly I think that's the truth. Like, the other thing, in addition to what you said, the few examples you gave, there's 20 other examples who were not shepherded and taken care of by those brands.
Yeah.
Lisa Anderson was dropped by Roxy. You know, there's just endless examples.
There's only room for one sort of legend in each brand. If you're a smart marketing guy, you're like, dude, our team can only handle one Tom Curran. We don't need Damien Hardman.
And even then, I feel like the Tom Curran's bargaining chip loses a little bit of value each year. So you're really beholden to them. If they're at the point where they're like, look, we're just going to pay you 80 grand a year, take it or leave it, you kind of have to take it.
Yeah.
Because there's not exactly companies stepping up to that level at this point.
Yeah. Gabe's in a whole different situation. Absolutely.
Well, so the situation Gabe may be in is he bigger than Rip Curl?
Yeah. I think he is.
Not in terms of like market cap, but he is. Like, he can attract, his gravitational pull for brands to want to work with him and money to income is more than Rip Curl can afford to pay.
Yeah. And I think that his business team is probably looking at like Mercedes-Benz and Rolex, like premium, the type of stuff that you see on international football, Premier League international football players. That's kind of the crowd that he runs in, almost kind of like, the way Kai, like there's just these premium brands basically that are like, they want a piece of you. And, he could be sponsored by Ralph Lauren for all we know, or something like that.
Well, the other thing is he can do a deal with Ralph Lauren that is temporary. You don't have to sign a 6-year contract with Ralph Lauren.
Yeah.
You could do a modeling gig. You go shoot twice a year and you get paid. I don't know what the numbers are for somebody like him, but they're significant. It makes the surf industry look paltry, actually.
I wonder if the big premium brands, though, don't want some sort of commitment. I'm not talking long-term, but it seems like a 3-year deal would be the minimum that I would, if I'm going to engage, my brand in your brand, so to speak, this synthesis of Gabe and Rolex, for example, I'm probably going to want 3 years of doing this thing right. Let's milk Gabe, and Gabe milks Rolex for 3 years.
You can certainly define any of the terms that you want, because there are examples of Brad Pitt goes and does a shoot for a Japanese whiskey, goes to Japan and gets paid whatever the amount is to shoot one commercial, and they use that throughout the year.
That's the Japanese whiskey isn't a premier brand. That's a global brand like a Rolex or a Mercedes.
So funnily, he does have, I forget the watch brand. There is a watch brand that he does have a partnership with, but you never see him wearing those watches. He has that partnership, and they probably did a few photo shoots, and they're going to use it for the next 3 years of campaigns. But when he's out on the street, he's wearing other watches. So, ultimately, you're right and I'm right. You can just define the relationship however you want, but the opportunities are there for Gabriel. He does roll at that level.
Where do you think this what do you think is the next play here? What is your what's your guess?
I don't think it's stickers on the surfboard.
Is it Red Bull?
No. I don't.
It's something like we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't think it's
like
stickers
Rolex.
on the surf. I don't think it's stickers on the surfboard. I think it is him. It's like a social media driven ad campaigns that are temporary. Yeah.
Is it that watch company Patek Philippe?
I don't know if they sponsor athletes or anything.
I was talking about the one with Brad Pitt, but
with Brad Pitt, no, that isn't it either.
Anyway, so we're in agreement that it's going to be some sort of premium, high-end, global brand that's recognized around the world, and those opportunities are available to him, and they really do then elevate his profile to the next level. So absolutely, yes. I don't know. I could imagine a perfume deal at some point. I could imagine a clothing brand deal at some point. I could see him in ad campaigns, in big Vogue style magazines. And so as listeners know, the WSL is going to include Gabe and John this year. It is also going to include not Kelly Slater, but on the women's side, it's going to include Stephanie and Carissa. So pretty exciting if you're a Rolex and you're signing Gabe Medina, and he's getting, we're giving the WSL season a lot of extra oomph and clout because these guys are coming back.
Totally. Well, the other interesting sponsor deal was Jack Robinson on Binance.
What?
So, Binance is crypto trading platform. According to their own marketing, the world's most trusted cryptocurrency exchange.
That's an oxymoron.
and he's got the stickers on his board, actually.
Oh,
so I thought that was interesting, but why not? I mean,
that is interesting. Binance.
Yeah.
That probably pays well.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I understand. Breitling is...
That's the one I was thinking of.
So Brad Pitt is a prominent ambassador for Breitling, but he's also highly associated with IWC, especially through his recent work with the F1 movie. But he's always seen out in public wearing brands such as Patek Philippe that you mentioned, Rolex, Vacheron.
Watches are interesting. Do you wear watches?
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
And why do you wear watches?
Fashion statement.
Okay, so what is that statement you're making?
Great question. I never even thought about it. I just think what looks good with what I'm wearing. I don't wear jewelry other than a wedding ring, so I'm not like a jewelry person at all, but I do like a wristwatch.
And the statement that you're making, like what brand, if you don't mind me asking? I wanted to excavate why it is you put a watch on your wrist when you can simply look at your phone, which is with you all the time.
I'm glad that you did ask, Scott. Which brand do I wear?
Oh my God, you've got a box of watches?
Here's the marketing material from Veyer Watches. It's just a bunch of T-shirts, actually. It's not really
okay.
But yeah, Veyer is a surf brand.
Oh.
It's two guys out of Venice Beach who have a surf background who started a watch company. And so, yeah. So they sponsor Surf Splendor, and
How do you spell Vaer?
Vaer.
Okay.
So they actually outfit the entire North Shore Lifeguard Association.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're incredible. They do kind of charitable stuff like that.
I think there's I want to say this looks like Dustin Barca on the cover, but
Oh, really?
of their website. I don't know. It's just some strong dude with dark hair. I don't know who it is.
But to answer your question, I think I don't like flashy jewelry, or I don't like jewelry for a male in general, but I do think that a watch, the style of watch that you wear does kind of represent and reflect your personality. And
what if you don't wear a watch? Because I don't wear a watch. What does that say about my personality?
That you're into simplicity.
So if you do wear a watch, you're not into simplicity?
No. But if you don't, I think it does show that you're a minimalist. Minimalist.
Well,
I'm
on their website. They've got some beautiful watches here, and they have ocean ready watches. I imagine you must have a water resistant one.
Yeah, they're waterproof guaranteed and assembled in America. And also some of them have solar power. So you don't have a battery. You don't have to wind it even. It's just got a solar cell under the dial, and that fuels the watch, powers the watch. So they're totally practical, but again, good looking, functional.
I wonder how my wife feels about if I've never worn. I actually did used to wear a watch before cell phones,
Yeah.
because you needed it. There's some pretty watches on here for sure.
I like it. Let
me see yours. Let's see yours.
It's a little style element.
Oh, you got the chronographs. I'm looking on there.
Shut up. That's not the chronograph.
It
I don't
is.
even know what a chronograph is.
I don't. I'm just the picture of your watch is the one I'm looking at and it looks exact. Oh wait, no, maybe it's not. It's not a chronograph.
Anyways,
wait, hold it up. Let me see. I don't see it on here. You must have a special David Lee Scales watch.
It's the Atlas A5, just for the record. Anyways, let's move on. Binance is an interesting pick. And the other huge sponsor shift was our current sitting world champ, Yago Dora, parts ways with his longtime sponsor of, I think, 15 years, Volcom.
Yeah.
So being at the top of the game, coming off of a world title, it's interesting that Volcom would let him go, actually.
Yeah, that one is the kind of the most interesting one here of the mentions that you've provided for us. Because there's like I don't know which way to turn here. Like, why would they do that, or why would he do that, or was this coming down the pike for a long time? It looks like you have some insight.
I don't have insights other than he's already found a new sponsor, which is Vissla, which is equally as interesting to me. So Vissla kind of getting into, Vissla creators and innovators, they're kind of, when they launched, it was a lot of non-competitive surfers and artisans, even shapers, photographers, stuff like this. And so them kind of shifting into, in recent years, like with their they released a women's line and immediately sponsored Lakey Peterson, who is on tour at the time competing. I was like, wow, that's an interesting pick to launch the line. And then they had Cole Hauschman, I believe, up until about a year ago, who is absolutely like a competitive, focused surfer. And then picking Yago Dora, who is clearly the world champ, number one in the world, I think is an interesting pick. They actually got rid of a couple of, I don't know if this was coincidental or if this was freeing up budget, but they let Cliff Capono go. They let Noah Mizuno go and Cam Richards go, all towards the end of this year, and now picked up Yago in their replacement. So it feels just like kind of a bigger shift for them.
Well, think about this too. If you're a marketing person, because we know that the marketing mind behind Vissla is extremely sharp. They've got to be thinking Olympics. Who can we get on our team right now that is going to pay dividends in the Olympics? Like, and so you look at the various opportunities, nation state Olympic athletes, and you kind of like rolling the dice that Yago's going to be there. Who is it going to be? Gabe and Yago for the Brazil team?
Could be.
I mean, I'm imagining, that would be a big part of my process is Who can we cash in? Even though in the Olympics they don't let you put sponsors, brands on your boards, you're still people are going to Google you and see tons of imagery of you with the Vissla logo.
Well, I guess I'm surprised that Volcom would let him go at this peak in his career, but it's probably reflective of the fact that they're run in a boardroom. They're no longer run by surfers, all that sort of a thing. So they're not fully ear to the ground in the same way that Vissla is. So I'm okay with that. I understand it. I do like this for Vissla, and I do think that this also reflects success in that company and growth in that company. To grow it to a spot where you can actually afford to pay the number one surfer in the world is amazing. Like, they've done it, in a short 10 years. I don't know, they've been around maybe a little bit longer than 10 years, but in a short period of time, they've grown that company like very pragmatically measured, didn't overextend, made good decisions, and now they're in a position where they can make another good decision, and it's a big bet, but it's a good one.
I agree. I love me a Yago Dora. I think Yago transcends in many ways.
Too. Yeah.
He's not just this competitive guy. Like I never see him in that light. I always see him like, wow, what's going to happen next with Yago Dora, And oh, by the way, he's the world champion. Like he's kind of different, a different strain than Gabe Medina in that regard.
He's beyond reproach in a lot of ways because Gabe Medina had his detractors. Felipe Toledo still has an asterisk next to his world title. Even Italo, I mean, we're talking obviously about Brazilian world champs right now, but even Italo has detractors from the style and all that sort of thing. Not necessarily his ability level, but I feel like when Yago won, there wasn't a single detractor.
Yeah, there's almost like a Tom Curran-esque sort of trip around, like a Brazilian Tom Curran-esque type of vibe around him.
Yeah.
Like beautiful style, incredible cutting edge aerialist, but also this really kind of grooviness. Like there's a grooviness, there's a humility with him that's endearing. So yeah, there's a lot of upside.
Congratulations, Vissla. Fantastic news.
Yeah,
Fantastic pick.
For sure.
So getting on to Stab Magazine's Surfer of the Year, or just quote, whatevers of the year.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have quoted that. So you mentioned this last week where you said you got the ballot and there was a limited number of names. I think that the system, anytime people do this, it's always I think it's a savvy content play to do this. And it was savvy content play back in the day for Surfer Magazine to do the Surfer Poll Awards because it offers engagement for the audience. First of all, the audience loves to be engaged. And the other thing is it allows you to assert yourself as the authority on something. It's like when Surfer Magazine did that, it's like now they're the authority on who the best in the world is. And Surfing Magazine, we'll read your magazines monthly, but you're not the authority. And so I feel like Stab doing this is very savvy. We like it, but it's inherently biased by design.
Yeah.
It draws from a lot of the content that they've created throughout this year. Giving you the names on the ballot without letting you kind of add your own names allows them to, again, perpetuate their pool of content and sponsors and favored surfers who they have access to, all that sort of thing. So I just want to state that before we go on and just like co-sign it as gospel. Because
wait a minute, are we co-signing as gospel? We're just reporting.
No, I think if we just perpetuate it as whole truth, then it is a little bit of a cosign. Because personally, I'll let you actually tell me if you feel the same way. I feel totally disconnected from this list. And so it makes me wonder, are they just operating in their own bubble and like the vast majority of us are disconnected from it? Or is everybody else in that bubble with them and I'm on the outside because I've now aged out?
Probably a little bit of both, a little bit of both. I would agree with you. There was some moments when I looked at that list and I was like, but I also kind of appreciated that they narrowed it down for me and gave, because in many ways, I'm like, you know what? Stab's kind of the experts, at least way more than me. Like I'm going to take what they've whittled down and then I'll I'll engage and look at all the content and, you know.
I think they are an authority, certainly, because they are reporting on this stuff weekly. So they definitely have an authority, but for the reasons I already stated, they also have their agendas.
Yeah. Well, believe me, at Surfer, we had our agendas. Like
Totally.
it was a reader's poll, but, you know, there'd be secret meetings in Ricky Irons' office about who we should pick. Should it be Andy or Kelly?
Yeah, of course. So I guess an example is they haven't announced the number one surfer. They said it's down to Yago, Dora versus Noah Dean.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you guys love Noah Dean.
I agree with you. When I saw that, I was like, are you kidding? Noah Dean's in this conversation?
They love Noah Dean. And Noah Dean's incredible. And
He is. I mean, but there's a lot of Noah Deans out there. Like he, you know, again, maybe I am disconnected, but I already told you last week, I chose Yago.
Yeah.
And it was between Yago and, who was the other guy?
You love
Matahi Drolet. Matahi Drolet for what he was doing at Chopu, which was just mind blowing. He caught the gnarliest wave ever.
Look,
which is, I don't know. That's saying a lot.
Get Sam McIntosh on this call, and he will give a very compelling argument
He
for
will.
Noah Dean. Because
he will.
Noah's put out incredible films. He surfs big waves. He does massive airs. He surfs with power.
He's universally loved. I would suggest to you that I think some of his negative tentacles have sort of dropped off.
Yeah, totally agree with that. But from my perspective, it's like Noah Dean, I watch him and I like him. I appreciate all the things, but I was more interested in watching Tosh Tudor this
I
year.
agree. I think that maybe this is almost some Australian versus North American bias here, because I was like, Tosh Tudor is basically Noah Dean, but fresher.
No, he's not, because Noah Dean is more well-rounded. Noah Dean is doing giant airs and all this kind of stuff. But to me, the journey that Tosh has been on is more interesting to watch than watching a high-performance shredder trying to put out the gnarliest edit once again. I've been watching that for 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Tosh kind of being on his thing is just more interesting to me.
Well, I wasn't trying to suggest that Tosh is a better surfer. I was just saying the surfer of the year based on my personal thing. I've seen Noah for a long time, and Tosh just seems fresher.
Interestingly, we're using the word fresh, although he's doing the exact same thing that's been being done since the 70s in his style of surfing and the way that he's just putting in his hours at pipes, slowly building his profile, that kind of thing, you know. But I'm here for it.
Yeah.
So, by the way, Harry Bryant wasn't on the list. Harry Bryant had the number one film last year by their own voting system. He has the number one edit this year through their own voting system. And his profile's never been more hot. And his surfing's incredible. And he wasn't on the list for the potential best surfer of the year. So that was a big omission in my mind.
Well, yeah, he won best edit, as you mentioned, right?
Yeah. So anyways, women. The women have already been selected. Number one female surfer of the year, Molly Picklum.
That was selected. I thought that one was going to be announced today or tomorrow.
Done and dusted, Molly Picklum.
Huh.
I think this is as well deserved as I've ever seen. I mean, we probably didn't give her as much adulation as we should have throughout the year, but nobody dominated competition as thoroughly as she did in this year. In recent years, we haven't seen such dominance. She finished with 21,000 points over second place. It's huge.
Yeah.
Her worst finishes were 2 fifth place finishes on tour this year. She had 2 wins, 4 seconds, and then 3 thirds. And the worst finishes were 2 fifths. It's like incredible year.
Yeah. And she was my choice. I chose her, and it was obviously between her and Katie for me. And frankly, I have a North American Katie Simmers bias, but I just felt like there's no denying. You just can't deny. She kind of just put it in our faces. Like, I'm here, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not leaving. And it really showed out in some of their later, heats where it was in waves of consequence at Chopu or Cloudbreak or wherever. Like, and Katie was heaving herself over the pit, but Molly was friggin' coming out, standing up, spit right in front of her. You know, like it was a great showdown.
Molly's got a Pipe Masters win. And then what she did at the back half of the season in Tahiti and Cloudbreak, as you mentioned, it was like definitive, no questions can be left.
Yeah, your bias doesn't work here.
No. Yeah. So congratulations on Molly. Well deserved. YouTuber of the year is Nathan Florence. I think this is the 3rd year that he's won this from Stab. So good on him. He is the official YouTube surf master.
My best YouTube is Stuart Cartwright.
Tell me more.
He's an English golf professional, and I watch so much of Stuart Cartwright's content. It's amazing.
Has your game gotten better?
It has. He's improved my game a lot.
Good.
I actually did some online coaching with him. Online coaching with Stuart. Sent videos of me, my golf swing, and he would send me stuff back on, here's what you need to do, and blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
I know.
Look at you, committed to the cause.
I am.
Well, look, we've said it before about Nathan. There's nothing new I need to say about Nathan here, but my thought on this was you can't stay in this position for very long. The amount of work it takes to generate that type of content and the resource pull from, spending money, traveling the world, bringing people with you to film it, edit, all that. He was smart to bring on his wife to come and do some of the filming and be a part of the process. But ultimately, if they want to have kids, that'll be where the brakes get pulled on this. So I think being in this position, he's done it for 3 years. Maybe he could do it for 5 years. What I would advise anybody out there, a Baron Mamiya, Eli Hanneman, is you're friends with Nathan, start drafting off of him. When you're not competing on tour, book a ticket with Nathan. Be buddy-buddy. Be like, hey, man, can I come on the next trip? And start showing up in his videos constantly and start building your own profile off on the side. Because there will be a time where there is a void left from Nathan when he does have to hit the brakes. And if you are building your profile based on his and you can kind of draft off him and just take off into that space, there will be a 5-year span in the future that you can take all that.
It feels like there is a guy like that right now. Who's that really good Hawaiian surfer that's friends with Nathan that's a regular foot?
Eli Olsen?
Yeah. Eli Olsen seems like that guy. He's been drafting.
I think Eli's a little too old.
I would agree with that.
Like Eli is going to be in his
he's got other good gigs going too.
Yeah, he does like stunt work for Hollywood productions and things like that. But I think that his schedule might limit his ability to fully do this in the way that Nathan is doing it. But I think that if you were in your early 20s, you're Levi Slauson, let's say, and you're like, the tour is an opportunity for me and that's potential. I might make that. And then there's this thing, try to run it of both. Try to, whatever money you can generate, put towards that and give a good run at it. If you're inclined to, generate content, if you're good in front of the camera and you want to be on that hamster wheel, there's a real opportunity here because Nathan has proven the method. He's got people watching. You can benefit from all of that and build your own thing just right alongside.
Well, the best junior for Stab Surfer of the Year is James Kustino. What do you know about James? This guy's incredible.
This is our boy from Fiji, the former sponsor that sits down in the barrel.
I put that, you know how they give you a little thing that you can write after each of your submissions? I wrote, this is what happens when Buttons Kaluuya Kalani and Clay Marzo have a love child.
Totally.
Because this guy's surfing style is so fantastic and just electric and pliable. He's like a Gumby in the tube. Like, it's just amazing what he can do in there.
Completely agree. That is actually a really great love child metaphor. Yeah. It does. It is a perfect blend of them. Big fan. Great to see him get some credit. Go ahead.
Well, I think, David, that we're going to see a lot more. If you don't know who James Kustino is by now, you're probably going to see, you probably have seen him already, but you're going to see, I think, a lot more of him this year in 2026.
And he was in that Harry Bryant film not film, but short edit that we saw or that we talked about. Toasted or roasted? I forget.
Roasted. Yeah.
So back to Harry Bryant. So now edit of the year is that exact edit, actually, roasted. And if I have a question for you.
Yeah.
When you watch that Harry Bryant edit, what percentage would you assign to the success of it for filmmaker versus surfer?
For me, it was all about the floaters at Cloudbreak.
Okay.
It was about the surfer, like it was surf, 80% surfer.
I'm going 50-50.
Okay.
Because those are incredible, but those can exist on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's incredible surfing happening all the time. And so by the way, Dave Fox is the filmmaker, editor, director of this piece. Anything that guy touches ends up lighting up the internet. And I think you almost can't give him too much credit, because if you are a surfer who's producing banger clips, you can get stuck in the white noise. And I would make an argument, actually, one of my favorite films of the year, which they did acknowledge and was part of the ballot, was Free Flow by Jai Glindeman, because of the surfing. But I'm like, his surfing should be front and center. Where is there for everybody in the surf world? Like, this kid is unbelievable. Why isn't he the household name yet? And I think it's just a matter of whose lens we're viewing him through. And anything that Dave Fox puts out ends up winning film of the year, and it's like, it depends who the surfer kind of shifts. And in fact, he actually did another film this year with Craig Anderson, which I already gave you my must-see moment, but this could also be my must-see moment. Try to find the name of the film. It's called Samudra Spirit Glitter with Craig Anderson. It's mostly in Indonesia, mostly solo sessions somehow. Surf some wedgy, weird, wonky waves, but absolute incredible film.
That sounds cool.
Like that,
I would check that out.
Yeah, I would argue this could actually be my film of the year as well. But again, it's Dave Fox. Is
that on YouTube?
Yeah. Samudra Spirit Glitter with Craig Anderson. So I don't know. I'm just trying to shine as much love and limelight on Dave Fox because I think his work is incredible.
All right. You're always sticking up for the filmmakers, and good for you. I think that's smart.
Where would we be without them?
Right. We'd be on Instagram, apparently.
There'd be nothing to look at. You need the photographer and the filmmaker to present on Instagram as well. But while you're looking that up and while we're on the subject of filmmakers, the best film of the year, Snapped 5.
Yeah, we told you, I think, 3 weeks ago after I watched it. I'm sure you watched it prior, but man, that was a banger. There's something about the pacing of that film. The, new guys in the water every 3 or 4 minutes. I was a big fan. Sort of spoke to the early, like some of the Taylor.
For sure.
The Taylor Steele stuff.
Yeah. It's surf porn.
Yeah. And just like, okay, here's the segment. Here's his segment. Here's Taylor Knox's segment. Oh, and we're going to end with Kelly Slater's segment.
You don't need much slow-mo. You don't even need a complete ride. It's just sometimes one turn or whatever. But banger clips, like all A quality clips. So when I saw that this won film of the year, duh was what my thought was. No duh.
Yeah. No duh. Remember that?
I do remember that. Moving on from Stab's end of the year stuff, unless you have anything more to say about that.
No, that's it. Thanks.
So moving on from that, I did mention the Eisbach wave in Germany is officially shut down.
Yeah.
And I bring this up just to praise Stab, because it is impressive that they take the time to research and write this stuff, because even while I'm reading it, I lose my passion for it. I'm like, it's a wave that's not in the ocean. I'm kind of curious. I was curious in the headline, and I'm reading it, and it's like, wow, they really went through like the timeline of events and the people's names. and the bureaucracy that got involved and the fines that got involved. They have all the information. And I'm like, couldn't care less.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a river wave in Germany.
I know. I think even my wife might have sent me the link to that story because it was one of those stories that it found its way into the New York Times. Or like it was kind of like an international story. Like, and I didn't even open. I was like, okay, they removed the boulder. Again, they removed the boulder. I get it.
Again, amazing work, Stab, for doing the deep dive. We're glad that you do it, but wow, couldn't care less. And by the way, also acknowledge the coolness of those German surfers, like the commitment to the cause, all that. Like those guys that's amazing. You guys are doing it.
Yeah, I've not taken anything away from. I mean, and it's unfortunate for those guys. They're bummed. That sucks. But it's not a story that, they can go to Morocco.
They should. They should go to Morocco. So this other story that I referenced was really tragic, sad story. But over a week after Erica Fox, 55, went missing during a routine ocean swim in Pacific Grove near Monterey, California, her body has been found. Crews recovered the body Saturday on a remote stretch south of Davenport Beach in Santa Cruz. Speculation swirled whether or not the body was that of Fox, suspected to be attacked by a shark during her swim earlier that day. And now family members have actually confirmed her identity, Erica Fox, 55. At the time of the incident, Fox had been swimming with a group called the Kelp Crawlers, a group of swimmers who swam at Lovers Point Beach in Pacific Grove every Sunday. She actually founded this group. And witnesses, by the way, her husband was swimming with her at the time. So it's a group of swimmers, the Kelp Crawlers. They go out for a swim every Sunday. While she's in the group, they hear a big splash. And then they look around and she's missing. They're like, what was that splash? A person who reported a shark sighting claimed that a person on the beach claimed that they saw a shark breach out of the water with what appeared to be a human body in the mouth. They then witnessed the shark submerge below the waterline without resurfacing. Fox's husband, who reportedly was swimming nearby his wife at the time of the attack, speaking to the Mercury Sun, said that his wife was wearing a shark bands, an electromagnetic device meant to fend off sharks at the time of the attack. And in fact, when they found her body, she was still wearing the shark band on her ankle. How crazy is that?
This is a horrible story, obviously. It's incredibly sad. A very similar situation happened here in San Diego. I want to say in like 2008 or something like that. And a group of swimmers. But I don't know what drives you to go swimming in the food chain. Like when you enter the ocean, you are entering the food chain. And I don't,
same question.
More power to them. I just couldn't.
But you do. Same question could be asked to you. You're not swimming, but you're out there in the food chain.
I'm not swimming, and
you're barely removed from swimming.
But I'm sure. This is a good point. I'm not trying to say what they did was wrong. I'm not. It's horrible. This is a horrible situation.
As much time as you and I spend in the ocean, I wouldn't do that.
I've never. Well, first, I was going to say I've never seen a shark, but the thing is, I always tell people you're not going to see the shark that gets you. It's not going to be something you see. It's going to happen in a blink of an eye. And you're not going to know. If you see the shark, that's actually a good thing. That means the shark's not trying to get you. But at least, I don't know. I'm not a shark expert. It's sad. I better put my foot in my mouth right now and shut up before I put my foot in my mouth. But I can't see myself going on open ocean swims with a shark bands on my ankle. If you need a shark bands on your ankle, I mean, I don't know. Aren't there better places to swim that are a little safer?
If you live in Monterey, it is what it is.
It's a known shark area. That's the thing.
It's so sketchy.
It's a known great white shark area.
So
dating back to like Lewis Boren. There's a name for you. That's a deep dive. Do a deep dive Google search on Lewis Boren.
I'll do it tonight during my New Year's celebration.
I'm sad for the woman and for her family and for the husband. I really am. It's horrible. Her
husband said, quote, she didn't want to live in fear. She lived her life fully. So I think she was aware of the dangers that you're talking about, but loves swimming, loves cold water, was going to do it no matter what.
Okay. Well, more power to her, and tip of the cap.
So what does this do to shark band stock, Scott?
Well, first of all, I'm not an expert in shark bands, but I do have one and I do wear one. When I go foiling, I wear shark bands, and it's not for sharks. It's for stingrays because they have the same sort of sensor in their nose. And a little, a powerful, small electromagnetic pulse is probably helpful to keep these types of sea creatures away from you. But if a shark is hungry and is bearing down on you, it's going to power right through any of that. It's got its eyes in the back of its head. It's rolled over and it's coming in for a bite, and it's an electromagnetic pulse isn't going to stop it. And I don't think shark bands suggest that much. I think they're basically saying, look, if you don't want something curious around your body, these are going to work good. If there's something bearing down on you at 15, 20 miles per hour in full attack mode, nothing is going to stop it.
Okay.
Maybe shark bands will be happy to hear me say that. I don't know.
Well, no, I think that's a reasonable response to it. To me, it's like, how do you ever test shark bands just as a general user?
Yeah.
I don't have access to sharks. I don't have any simulation I can run. I just kind of have to like either buy it and hope that it works. But now this is the one bit of information I do have that I can add to my calculus. That is, the body was found with a shark band on it that had been attacked by a shark. So it doesn't bode well for the brand, I don't think. And especially since that was featured in their brand was featured in every news story that was reported, So
that's gotta suck.
That's gotta suck. It's the worst case scenario if you wear shark bands. Anyways, if it makes you feel better, wear it. And certainly maybe it has more applicability with stingrays. And that'd be worth it. Maybe they need to switch the name to Stingray bands, because I would love to protect against that. That feels like a more imminent threat to me than sharks do.
Yeah. Well, again, sorry for the loss in that family.
At Christmas time, too.
It's horrible.
Well
look.
Along those lines, let's just acknowledge some legends who kicked out in 2025. This was a list compiled by Surfer Magazine, and that was, in fact, their title.
Yeah.
So among the list of those we lost this year, Clyde Eichow, Jack McCoy, Timo Jarvinen, photographer, Greg Browning, Shane Herring, and you know what? My autocorrect changed this one to Mike Tyson, but I don't think it was Mike Tyson. So it's Mike. Who am I thinking? Who is a Mike?
I don't know. You want me to Google it for us?
No, I'll figure it out real quick. I'm going to cut that part out. It's going to be so obvious when I find it. Mike Henson.
Oh, yes. Mike Henson.
Mike Henson, obviously. That's why the autocorrect was to Tyson. That is very similar. But anyways, yeah, rest in peace to all of those, and many great thanks for the contributions to our sport. Each and every one of them.
Yeah, well, it's part of the life cycle.
It is.
Birth and death, and yeah, you know what? We've said a lot. We're going to leave it on sort of a ethereal note.
Well, let me just leave it on a grateful note. I would like to say, end of the year, grateful for all of our listeners, grateful for our sponsors, our Real Water Sports, our NVS Fins, our Colby Plus, our Trees Wax, our waterwaystravel.com, AG1. I didn't mention it earlier, but I was drinking drinkag1.com/surf. Last night, I drank the AGZ before I went to bed. Love the stuff. Yeah. So if you want to get in on that, optimal, there you go. There's your AGZ. This will kind of foundational nutrition for the new year for anybody looking to develop and foster healthy habits through 2026. Get on the drinkag1.com/surf program. But this podcast started as a passion for hearing ourselves
for just a sec.
talk endlessly, and has developed into an amazing community of listeners and even friends at this point that keep us engaged in the process and the act of surfing throughout the year. So we are grateful for all of our listeners.
Okay. Well, look, until next time, adios and aloha.